Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and not only was this past weekend the first weekend of FB04 in North America, but also our largest event of the year. It was the North American Finals hosted by PlayTCG. So we've got the top 16 deck list for this one, and I'm excited to go on into it. And if you guys want any of the resources for this video or anything else for FB04, make sure to check out my website, Eggman Events. All the deck lists here are linked, and we're going to be keeping update with the format as we get on into it as well. So jumping on into it though, this was a 2-day event, 261 players, 8 rounds of Swiss best of 1 into a top 16 best of 3 on day 2, and both days were streamed on Twitch, so you can make sure to check that out, link to the description. I think it's also going to be re-uploaded to their YouTubes, and I also do want to say a big shouts to Espira for also being the host and commentator for it. It was a single man job and he did a really great job with it, and I really appreciate the fact that we did have a stream for this finals. It was just really great for it, and the viewership just seemed fantastic for it. So I know I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I definitely appreciate it existing in the first place too. So, but jumping on into the top 16, we do have 5 copies of Baby Vegeta, 2 copies of Aandroidd 17, 2 copies of Majin Buu Evil, 2 copies of the FB03 Goku, 1 copy of Daima Goku, 1 copy of the GT Goku, 1 copy of Beerus, 1 Vegeta from Star Deck 2, and 1 copy of Star Deck 5 Bardock. So honestly, a pretty diverse meta for day 1. 9 different leaders topping is fantastic, I think, especially since we've had so many metas where like only like 2 or 3 are like the mainstay for it. Obviously, Baby Vegeta is a strong force right out of the gate, not only being the most represented leader, but also taking first place in this event. But in general, it just feels like a lot of decks are viable, which is kind of my understanding going on into this format, and I'm happy that's kind of true as well. And I did make a tier list going on into this weekend too, and I think I was pretty close to it. Everything that I said will top did, though at different numbers. Obviously, Daima Goku and I think Blue Vegeta was a little bit underrepresented from what I thought was going to get in the top there, but Aandroidd 17 and the Baby Vegeta taking 3 of the 4 spots in top 4 was pretty great. Jiren and UI Goku didn't top, which I was mildly surprised for, but I wasn't. I thought that was a possibility. And then we did have Goku GT and Bardock top, 1 copies each, so not too crazy there. Beerus got 1 top in there. Majin Buu Evil did get 2 in there, and I think the only thing I probably underrated was the FB03 Goku, which I put as a wild card for this one. Ended up taking 2 spots and getting the top 8, which is pretty great. But in general, I think I was moderately accurate for what I thought was going on into this format as well. But we're going to go over the top placing list for each one of these leaders, starting off with our first place list and also our 4th place list, which is Andrew's version of Baby Vegeta as well as Gabriel's version as well, which I do want to kind of just go over both of these just because they are the same leader, but there are pretty different builds in itself. So for our first place for Andrew's version of the list, this is a pretty interesting build. I do know, and this is my own thing, a lot of people gave me like flack, like, I don't know, Son Goku GT, the secret rare, it's a little bit too slow for what Baby's wanting to do, which is be very aggressive. But I was still envisioning that there's kind of like a grindier version of this list, which is 100% what Andrew used to win with this weekend. So just kind of the idea that you have a lot of cards that just gain a lot of value throughout the game, being able to have a lot of removal, not only with our Bardock, our 5-drop, but also with our Son Goten GT. Being able to just play this and get like a 15k attack in and then bounce it back, combo with it to bounce a 4 cost back into your opponent's hand. There's so many 4 costs that get hit by this. It's such a good card in so many ways, especially since you can play it for free off your grade 8 Baby. And then so what you really just want to do is that you want to grind out this long game, just get a lot of value from your cards. We also are running 4 copies of the Trunks GT. This card's amazing at protecting our board. It can also be played off of the 3-drop Baby as well, which is great. You can also just play this on turn 2 if you have a marker. So if you went second, you'd be able to get the marker. You play this on 3 energy. It's 3 with the marker, so on your second turn, you play out the Trunks GT. You use this Trunks to protect your board if it doesn't get removed, because then you can play the Son Goku GT on the next turn, and then you have that protection with it, which is really nice. So I think Duval played fantastic. You can watch most of his top 16 matches since they were covered pretty heavily too, and just did really well as well. So the last card I'd say is that the Super Baby 2 wasn't originally on my radar as a great card, but for late game value, this card's amazing. For 3, you play it out, you attack 20k, you're able to add a card from the top of your deck to your hand, and then you get a 10k combo on top of it. as you know, once you get into that late game where you have all access to all this additional energy, this card can be really strong, and one that it wasn't, again, on my original radar. But really cool to see this variant for first place. One that, you know, I wasn't saying that I thought like my build was any good, but more so that this concept exists for kind of just a value grind version of Baby, and it definitely was what won this event. So congratulations to Deval there. And then we also have Gabriel with more of the I would say standard build of it. A lot of people were playing more of like the Rildo package, the Machine version, as I like to call it, just because we get so much value from our big chain here. So the fact that we're able to, you know, attack with Rildo here, and then you can combo it and play the meta, hyper meta, and then we have the meta one here. That's just like really good value in a lot of ways. We are playing the Super Sigma with this, so we don't get to use the you know, bounce the hand effect from this hyper meta Rildo, but I think that's fine. It's definitely kind of one of the weaker cards for the deck, but you did kind of feel forced to run it. Sometimes it is kind of tricky to put enough machine munes into your trash to be able to use the hyper meta Rildo, but I think that's fine. And then just kind of the usual cards from the rest of us, right? Dr. Mew, Baby Possessed Boy form. We have 4 copies of this Grade 8 Baby as well as Super Baby 1. We have the Bola, which is such a great way for us to self-awaken and also get an energy marker if we need one. And then Gloria, which I didn't really mention in Duval's, but most players are playing 2 to 4 copies of this card. Was really present. It's just like a 2-drop 25k. I think it is like above the curve because it's if either player has the marker. And also if you're expecting a lot of like mirror matches with black, this card helps you because it gets, you know, a 2-drop 25k that lets you draw a card. It's a 10k, so it's never like really dead in hand either. Just a solid pick for a lot of builds too. So this is Gabriel's version, this is Gabriel's version of the build here, and congratulations for their 4th place with Baby Vegeta as well. So jumping on next to our next one, we do have the Son Goku GT. So this is Nan's version of it, and they were able to get 2nd place with this deck, and I think that's super fantastic. And you'll see, like, we did get like a good amount of support from Goku GT. But not all of it, I think, was run in this one. Specifically, cards that were on my mind were the 1-drop Pan, as well as the 4-drop Son Goku GT that was able to get double strike. But generally, we're just like a minor upgrades from what I would say is like an FB03 list, right? The main ads are again pretty much the cards we talked about in the Baby Vegeta list, but the Trunks GT being able to be a self-awakener that gives protection if played at the right time is fantastic. And then additionally, we have the Son Goku Go10 GT. You don't have to, like, you can just play this for 2 and then attack with something and combo it off the board. And this still puts back like a Jiren or, you know, your opponent's Son Goku GT. There's a lot of stuff that bounces this back to make it unfavorable for your opponent's advantage. So I think that's strong for the deck. It means that we don't have to play 4 copies of Pan GT. We can play like a 3-2 split, which is really nice. And then we also have like our top end of the Son Goku GT, the Bardock, and kind of like the rest. So honestly, this is just kind of a little bit of an upgrade from what I'd say, again, an FB03 list, but there are just some generically good black cards from it. We see Glorio in this build as well. We see our 3-drop Bardock, which is fantastic for ending our games, especially since with using our leader effect, we can give it the marker, or the marker plus 15k, so a 35 and twice is a lot of value for just 4 energy investment in its own way. So I think Son Goku GT is strong. I know a lot of people like in FB03 Bardock and Son Goku GT were pretty close to power level, but I think this one is probably like a little bit stronger. But Baby Vegeta is probably, of the 3 black decks that we have right now, probably still the strongest one. The leader effect, even if you're just using it sparingly, is super good in that regard. But this is the build here, and congratulations to Nhat for their finish one with Son Goku GT. All right, and next up we've got Raymond's version of Aandroidd 17, and I just want to say a huge shout to Raymond on this weekend. He had a fantastic run. He went undefeated on the last chance qualifier on Friday, undefeated Swiss on day 1 of the actual event, and then day 2 he went X1, losing in top 4, but was able to win the top 3 match, so he was able to finish 3rd place, and did super phenomenal this entire weekend. So this is their build of Aandroidd 17. We did get a good amount of generically good cards for this deck, and it's also running the kind of the 1-drop Earthling package that I really like. So the new cards though include the 3-drop Nappa, This card is insane, if I'm being honest. It's super strong for us, being able to use it to like ramp as a 30k, right? Like generically, we play like the our 3-drop ramp card with the destructive strength, but now we have Nappa, which is almost strictly better in a lot of scenarios. It's maybe a little bit less searchable, but being able to have like a 30k body that lets you like also self-awaken, which like 17-18 sometimes had issues with too. This just solves a lot of issues that the deck kind of had in its own way. So unless you're playing against red, it's kind of difficult to remove this card at times. I guess blue could bounce it to the bottom of deck or back to hand, but just really strong for getting some pressure and also some self-awakening too. We also have the Raditz on play KO, one of your Earthling only battle cards with cost 1 or less at the top card of your deck to your energy. So this is kind of like an alternative way. If you play out one of your like Balmas or one of your Master Roshis, you're able to use the Raditz afterwards to get that additional energy. So that it can help you quite a bit as well. So it's kind of like our backup way to get up to our energy ramp. And then we have the 17-18. I don't have to explain this card, right? That card's really great. But you can see that we're playing a lot more of like a control version of this deck. And the reason I say that is that we do have like the Son Gohan Childhood. We have 4 copies of Broly. We have the Earth Destroying Blow. We even have like the 1 copies of Dr. Gero Lab, which is really interesting. Is like our 3rd copy, our 9th copy of a ramp card on 10. We have to have like 4 energy to use it, right? So it's a little bit slow to use, but it can give you just like free energy for like the rest of the game, which is really strong. So but just the way that we're able to just get more card draw, we have Cell Junior, which is able to be a 10k that lets us get the 2-drop Earth Destroying Blow, which we're able to use this to get a 25k and then also draw a card. Like there's just if we need to ramp up the energy. So for like 6 and we pass with 2 open, we're able to use that to go up to 7 and then 8 next turn for something like Broly, which is really good. So there's just a lot of good techs. I think green has a lot of great cards in the build right now. And again, like Hercule, which is a 2-drop that's a 10k that lets you add 2 10ks back to your hand, is really great. Kind of like the same thing as Earth Destroying Blow. There's just so much good stuff that this deck's able to do and grind out value that it's hard for you to get to the other side and kind of outvalue them, especially since Meteor and then it's going to be a 30k attack for most of the game because of the leader effect. So it's hard to defend yourself, and they're going to have the 30ks and the Broly 45ks twice and just everything else. It seems like a really, really tough deck to be able to actually kill. So this is the build here from Raymond, and congratulations to their 3rd place finish there. All right, next up we've got Majin Buu. So this is Tktop's version of the deck. This is one of the, this is a new yellow deck that hit the format with FB04. It's very archetype driven, but the archetype they made is pretty good, I think, in my opinion. It's really kind of based on your self-KOing abilities, and I'd say more so of like the yellow decks that exist have kind of like grinded out for value or make it difficult for your opponent to win. This deck is almost like just straight aggression and like self-destruction and that kind of stuff. So one of the stars in my deck, stars in my eyes for this deck is the Majin Buu Evil, being able to use this to get some hand destruction and get some card cycle. You can use this off of your 3-drop Majin Buu, or sorry, your Bobby. You use this as a card, you use its effect to play out the other 3-drop, KO it with it, and then you're able to draw 1 card to make your opponent discard 2, which is just really great value. We also have this Majin Buu, which can stay on the board for the majority of the game against a lot of matchups. It also means you just have another card that you can pop with one of your Majin effects to be able to use your leader effect, which is really strong. We have the 4-drop, being able to use this as like a 30k twice is good in its own right, as well as just like the Evil, which this card is just fine. It's not like the strongest in my opinion, but it's 10k, so you're not really upset with it either. So this is just a really straightforward package. I think you do want the additional awakening power from Balma, which comes up occasionally, and then also the Banan, which I didn't really understand this card. I think if it's just to be able to use this to switch itself back to active mode if you need to do that, which is interesting. It just means like it's a body that your opponent kind of has to respect or can like pressure your opponent early game without them having to attack you, which I think this is just a really interesting ad, but it really makes sense. You're able to get aggressive without, like, most of the time if you're aggressive, your opponent will just attack into your battle cards, which means that you won't be able to awaken. I think Majin Buu wants to essentially awaken as soon as it really can. So being able to play this Banan out and then and use it to attack and then restand, and your opponent still has to attack your leader, I think is a really good tech add that I'm really interested in trying out, which I'll probably try out sometime this week. So, but this is the build here, and congratulations to Tktop for their top 8 with Majin Buu Evil. And the next up, we do have Dane with their copy of the Daima Goku, one of my favorite leaders and decks from this format. So I really do appreciate Dane taking it. He ended up getting 3rd place in Swiss as well, and then finishing with a top 8 finish on Sunday. He also made a video on it, so you can definitely watch it. It's going to be linked to the description too. Way better than me going over his own deck, but you can check that out. But I like this deck just because it's generically just solid. Being able to get like a plus 5k and a minus 5k on your board and your opponent's board respectively is just strong in its own right. We just had a lot of good like red cards exist between like the Star deck and FB04. Of course we have the Son Goku secret rare, which red really needed like a really good boss monster, which now this card is. Being able to be defensive while also offensive is great. You have like defense, you have board clear with it. It's a 40k. Some decks will have a hard time getting rid of this. I think this Goku is just a very strong card in a lot of ways. So great for like an end game for the Son Goku mini, which is kind of needed, especially if you are trying to fight for board advantage and the likes, because we are playing 6 cards that draw. We are playing the Mars Sarita. We're playing the Whis for like the additional destruction. We've got the Son Goku mini from the set, being able to use this to be a 30k that also like self awakens, and a 10k, which is really great. We've got removal. We've got our Vegeta, which is great for end game pressure, and just kind of the rest of the deck from there. But red does have like a lot of grid control options and removal options, and especially like I love this card, and like half the red decks can't really do the effect correctly, but our Goku is one that can, which is nice. So I'm thinking that Daima Goku is going to be again very present for the next couple weeks. I think it's a very strong deck in a lot of ways, and I'm looking forward to seeing what builds are going to look like. I think there's not going to ever be like a standard best build of this deck. I think everyone's going to have their own personal choices and tech options, and I think that's really cool for a leader to have that kind of freedom and flexibility. So this is the build here from Dane, and congratulations again for their top 8 finish. And to finish up the top 8, we do have League Kitchen's version of the FB03 Goku. This is an interesting deck that I think's got a good amount of support from this set in a lot of ways. Just the fact that, in FB03 itself, I think Vegeta was just using its cards but better, and it's just like a little bit of a rougher deck because of the consistency, and you kind of need to be awakened to use your leader effect effectively too. But it did get a good amount of like new life, I feel, in this format in particular. So part of the reason I do think like the 6-drop Vegito is like a really good boss monster for us still. And we did play like the 5-cost Vegito, but the 6-cost does help us a little bit more. We do have like the Vidalos, including the 1-drop. So this is a new card from FB04. Activate main, return this card to its owner's hand, reveal the top card of your deck, and if the reveal card has Saiyan City and its special traits, you can play up to 1 Vidal with a cost of 2 from your hand. Then you can't play Vidal for the turn. So what this really means is that you're able to kind of go wider on board a little bit easier, but also mean that you can like have that extra energy open, so you can play cards like Great Saiyaman for its removal. You can play Orange Star High School a little bit easier. You can play you prefer girls with shorter hair. There's just like a lot of great cards that you get to sequence with a little bit better because of that. So like we just have like a lot of good removal. We do have like our Son Gohan Adolescent still in this deck. Great for removing 2 things, especially since we have cost reduction with the Hercule as well as like the rest of our stuff. And I think this deck is just kind of in a good spot with it. It is, a really packaged deck, right? You don't have as much freedom in your deck building as like Vegeta, and I still think that's like probably still the better generic blue deck. But from what this package is, and I've been seeing a lot of different versions too, with more of like the vanilla cards and get value from there. But just like the amount of sequencing, the amount of card draw and advantage you get from this deck can be unrivaled, but it is like a little bit more work to get there. But I think this is like a really fantastic finish, and congratulations to League Kitchen for their top 8 with the FB03 Son Goku. And then going into top 16, we do have FallenNguyen with their version of Beerus. I think a lot of people drop Beerus for the Son Goku Daima that we were talking about, but this deck still is fantastic. I will say it's the best removal deck in the game. The minus 10k activate main once per turn just gets rid of so much stuff. There's not really a lot of protection, if any, for cost reduction for removal, so you get around a lot of protection effects that otherwise you can't. And even if you don't get around the protection effect, or you don't get rid of it outright, the fact that you're able to then just attack and get the you know, additional, like, you know, it means your leader's like a 30k if you need it to be against battle cards, which is really great. So we did get a good couple of new cards. We do have like the Shin 1-drop, being able to look top 3 for a Universe 7 card regardless of cost is kind of strong, since most of our deck, at least over half our deck, is Universe 7 cards. It means we can find our God Kamehameha, or sorry, this is just saying, but we can find our super combo, we can find our secret rare, we can find any of our 5-drops. We're running 3 Universe 7 ones, including our new Frieza, being able to use this to not just get removed. So it's a really good investment. It becomes a 45k offensively, and then also gives something -10, which then you can use with your Beerus to make it -20 and get some good removal with it too. So I think this deck does have some strengths there too. I think people might start shifting back to it after maybe just trying Daima at first. But I think Beerus and Daima Goku are probably pretty similar in strength. Maybe I'd probably still give it an edge to Daima Goku, but if you personally like Beerus right now, I think you can definitely play it and use that instead of the Goku or any other red leader, and still find a lot of success. So this is FallenNguyen's list again. Congratulations for their top 16. And then next up we do have the Vegeta. So this Vegeta here is our top 16 with the Mindus version of it. And Mindus is running pretty much the general package that we're used to, but we are adding a couple of new cards from FB04 and the starter deck as well. Generically, the cards that I see we are playing the Gotenks package, which I really do like this idea of the deck. We do have this 3-drop Gotenks, being able to use it to activate main, return this card to its owner's hand. If your leader is Vegeta, you get to play up to 1 Gotenks at the cost of 4 of your hand in rest mode. So with FB04, we do have this new Gotenks. Essentially, it's just like a small, like a different version of our Son Gohan Adolescence from FB03, and being able to use this to get our removal is super great. So, you know, on 3 Dawn, you're able to use, or sorry, 3 Energy. 3 Energy, you're able to use this effect, bounce this back to your hand, play this rested, but being able to get rid of a 3 or less. You just get to remove literally anything your opponent played the previous turn, and then have this 30k body that you can start attacking with next turn, and can eventually turn into a 35k by the end of the game. So I think that's really great. The other kind of new cards we have are the 4-drop Vegito. This just says activate main for 2. You can discard 1 card from your hand and place this card in its owner's drop. If you do, you have 10 or more cards in your drop, play up to 1 Vegito with a cost of 5 or 6 from your drop. So you're able to play old reliable Vegito as well as the new 6-drop secret rare from this set. So being able to use this as like a 40k double strike or double attack, which turns into a 50k double attack at the end of the game. Being able to use this card to you know, just get the advantage you need. It also means like you can use this card later, and you can like combo with like the Vegito early game, and then that just helps you there. So it's only from your drop, I believe, but you can also just like discard the 1 in your hand that wasn't doing anything, and then like get it from there in case you need like another 15k attack for some reason. So in general, I think this card is strong. It helps you, you know, reuse extra copies of your Vegito, so you don't have to run as many copies of them, which is good because they can be kind of dead in hand as well. So other than that, pretty standard. I think the last new card we have is the Marin, which in most cases is just a better draw Trunks. It's a 1-drop Earthling that lets you look at the top card of your deck before you play it. And I think that's very helpful in its own way. So there's the build here, and congratulations to Mindus for their finish with Vegeta being the only one in the top 16 as well. And to wrap it up, we do have DBS God's version of Bardock. So this is the Star Deck Bardock. This is one of my favorite decks from FB03, and my only issue with it is that it didn't get any direct support into the new set, right? We do have like the cards we've been talking about, like Trunks GT, as well as the Son Goten. They're also playing the copy of Great Ape Baby, which generally is used for the builds of like the Vegeta Baby, but being able to use this, play any 2-drop, and then also get some removal in the place. Like it's just kind of like a backup copy of Son Goku GT, but it can also play out this Trunks GT later in the game and get its own inherent protection, which I think is really strong. Other than that, though, it's kind of like what we've been seeing. We do play amount of 1-drops. We don't play a lot of our Bardock's crew, right? The only cards that we can combo with leader effect off the top are Fasha, as well as our Bardock, as well as, I guess, technically our 5-drop, right? But I think generically, like this leader, as a 25k offensively, that just looks at the top card of our deck, and if we need it or not, we can play it back. is just strong enough by itself. Like the free combo, it comes up like once or twice a game, right? And it can be impactful, but generally just like the consistency that this adds, and like again, a 25k for free is really good pressure as an awakened leader, and can help out the deck too. So I think this is still like a generically good deck. I still think like probably Baby Vegeta and Son Goku GT are likely better than it, but it's still a solid pick. And congratulations to DBS God for their top 16 there. So that's going to be it for me. That's going to be the top 16. If you guys want to see all the deck lists, you can once again find them on my website, Eggman Events, and that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.